It was high-octane drama today at the Code of Conduct Tribunal hearing of corruption charges brought before the Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Walter Onnoghen. A whole lot of things happened this morning at the Code of Conduct Tribunal hearing. First of all, there was a protest by a group of lawyers who believe this entire hearing was designed to persecute the CJN and the judicial system. And then other matters came up like jurisdiction of the CCT to even hear this matter, and then the process with which all of this has been conducted, and then the bombshell which happened just a few hours ago, the Federal High Court ruling. What does this mean for the hearing? What does this mean for the election process, which is just about 4 weeks from now? Me Lord, you're right here on RootsTV, Nigeria. My name is Gloria or JM Mode. To have this conversation, I have two people here in the studio. We're starting with Mr. Chike Amobi. He is a doctor of law licensed to practice in Nigeria and the United States. And let's not forget, he was in the room this morning in the court when all of this was deliberated. Welcome, Mr. Amobi.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure to be here.
Okay, and then I have a colleague as well. He is Basil Okafor. He's with the Core TV. He's a judiciary correspondent and was also right there at the CCT hearing and saw all of it as it took place. Welcome, Basil.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me.
All right. So I'm going to start with you, Barrister Chike. Can I call you that?
That you can.
Fantastic. Paint a picture for us, because we, the media, were not allowed to be in the court at the time. Paint a picture of what happened, because at first we heard there was a huge debate on the jurisdiction of the CCT to hear this particular case. And then afterwards the process came up. So let us exactly find out what happened.
Okay. Essentially what happened in courts today was that my Lord, the Honorable Chief Justice, was not in court when the case was called for arraignment. And the argument was the defense counsel was trying to explain his absence and explain to the court that the court has no jurisdiction to try this case, that in any case where the accused person is challenging the jurisdiction of the tribunal, that his physical presence is not needed in court. So that is the essence, that is in summary the essence of the defense position to justify the absence of my Lord the Chief Justice.
And let's talk about the process, because a lot of you complained that he wasn't served in person, that his personal assistant was the one who received the sermon. So that makes it invalid of some sort. How does that play out?
That is correct, because in criminal proceedings, it is tried law that the summons must be served on the person of the accused person. In this case, the court bailiff indicated that the process was served on his personal assistant. Well, that is a flaw, because there has to be a personal service on the person of the accused person before you can, before the court now can compel him to come to court, which did not happen in this case.
Okay, so let's talk about the overall jurisdiction of the CCT to even try this case in the first place. Yes. That has been the bone of contention even before this morning came up. So explain it to us, especially for people who are not very familiar with the legal process.
Well, essentially, the case has to do with asset declaration. And even though the CCT has exclusive jurisdiction to try that subject matter, but there's been court rulings, the latest of which the Court of Appeal ruled in the case of Justice Nganjuwa, that in a matter like this, it must first be referred to the National Judicial Council to deal with it before the matter is now heard at the tribunal. And that is a condition precedent to the tribunal having jurisdiction over my Lord the Chief Justice, which in this case did not happen. And not only that, this CCT, the tribunal has in its own ruling affirmed this position of the law in both the case of Justice Sylvester Ngota, the Justice of the Supreme Court, and this Nganjuwa, where they ruled that the matter of ethical conduct or misconduct of the judicial officer must first refer to the NJC before the tribunal will have jurisdiction to proceed on the matter.
Based on your legal opinion,
yes,
do you think this case has merit?
I think it is left for the National Judicial Council to indicate whether or not an ethical violation has occurred. You know, this case is really not a crime per se, in that the animus malus that is necessary. You have to break
that down for us.
Well, the criminal mindset is lacking in this case. What the case is about is failure to disclose your asset or to declare your asset, which I believe from statements that are published in the press, the Chief Justice indicated that he had already declared that in another form that is absolutely in the same, has the same legal effect as that CCT declaration. So to the aspect of whether or not a case can be established against the Chief Justice, I quite frankly think this is an over-bloated expression of the criminal justice system on the person of the Chief Justice, which I believe is inappropriate at this time.
All right, let me go to my colleague Basil. Basil, we were there this morning. I want to understand, as a member of the press, what you felt happened at the Code of Conduct Tribunal hearing this morning.
Well, as a journalist, I noticed the usual drama between the prosecution and the defense counsel.
That's to be expected.
Exactly. They are trying to using tactics because when the matter proceeded, the defense counsel, about 43 senior advocates of Nigeria, led by Wole Olandipmeku. Olandipmeku was known to be the best among the senior advocates here in Nigeria, and they was trying to make the tribunal to adjourn the matter, probably to give them time for the court service or the summons will be served to the defense. But knowing the nature of the matter, the tribunal chairman led by Danladi Umar, wanted it to have his way, because he wanted it to be in a very short way, because according to him, being a criminal matter, it should not be delayed.
Which is very dicey right now, because some people say it's not a criminal matter, and then he thinks it's a criminal matter. Now, it's beautiful that you brought up the timing and the speed at which all of this was effected. On Friday, in fact, on Friday, most people barely heard of this. Saturday, we're seeing it popping up on our phones, and Monday, there is a hearing. I don't know, but this feels a bit fishy to an ordinary person. Does this work like that in the legal system?
This is absolutely, your question is absolutely what is now at the minds of most people, because the supersonic speed with which this event took place has now created some curiosity as what the underlying motive behind this prosecution is. Because like you rightly pointed out, the petition was filed on Friday. And usually when a petition is filed, there's usually time to investigate. Now, the actual charge was framed on Monday, which is absolutely unusual in these judicial systems, that haven't had time to investigate, to hear from the person, and then to file charges. The speed with which it happened is unprecedented.
And then let's go to the elephant in the room, because everybody believes that this is more politically motivated than it really is about, ending corruption, which, let's be very honest, if you really did commit a crime, you should be tried. Nobody is above the law. But 4 weeks to the elections, a lot of people are believing this is more about the elections. You are a judiciary correspondent and you are a journalist. What do you think? Let's start with you, Basil. Do you think this could be politically motivated?
Well, everybody in Nigeria is against corruption, and nobody will support corruption. But in this case, many people are saying that is politically motivated. Look at barely
4 weeks.
Barely 4 weeks to the election. Then you are now bringing this issue. Some people are even insinuating that because this is still an allegation, the Minister of Transportation, Rotimi Amaechi, that is his hands are there due to what is happening in APC in Rivers State. Because you know that this current CJN is somebody that probably many people allege also that he has some closeness with Governor of Rivers State, the current Governor, Nyesom Wike. Because when you look at some of the judgments presided over by the CJN, the lives of even during the time the election of the current Rivers State governor was challenged, he was there. He dismissed the appeal. Also, the case of PDP, the Modu Sheriff, he shared the panel. He also made the judgment in favor of
so
PDP.
There's
a lot of reasons, and probably this administration noticed that this man is not dancing to their tune, and they want to bring in somebody close to next to him, which is from the north, and they believe that this man, and going also through that when he was appointed, almost 6 months.
It took a lot of time.
The president refused to confinement. If not because the president was sick and was flown abroad, the vice has to come in and intervene and send his name to the National Assembly.
And at the end of the day, the picture that a lot of people are painting is the Election Petitions Tribunal will be set up. Definitely, we know a lot of people are going to say we do not agree with the election results, and he, being the CJN, is going to be responsible for picking the people who are going to be on that panel. Yes,
that is correct.
So obviously, if he, like you said, does not dance to the tune of the current administration, that may spell What word can I use? In Nigerian language, yawa, right? Okay. So you're still watching me, Lord, right here on RootsTV Nigeria. We will talk about the protests that occurred at the CCT and then later what the Federal High Court just did. What does that mean for the hearing? You stay right here on RootsTV Nigeria. And you're still watching me, Lord, on RootsTV Nigeria. A whole lot of things coming up with this particular hearing, the CCT hearing, corruption charges brought before the Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Walter Onoren. This morning at the CCT, we saw a lot of protests. First of all, we saw a group of lawyers, your members, your team, your people, who felt this was not just a thing, this was not just persecution against the CJN, but the entire judiciary. Do you agree with that?
I think so. I do agree with them. They came out and voiced their objection to what they believe is desecration of the Judicial Office of Nigeria. And I think, quite frankly, they are justified in doing that because the Chief Justice of Nigeria is the #1 ranking officer in the judiciary. And for him to be whittled into court like this in a matter as mundane as this.
You think it's mundane?
Well, it is, given the fact that it is an asset declaration matter at the CCT, where the court in its own, the tribunal, has ruled that this matter has to rightly first be referred to the NJC before it comes to court. So the speed with which they brought it to court is what irked the minds of a lot of lawyers to come out there and stand by the bench that our judicial departments need not be antagonized like this.
Another group we saw actually protesting this was a group of people from his region of Nigeria, the South people who seemed, this was not just about the CJN, this was about they're part of the country. He is one of the very few people who is not from the northern extraction who's holding a very, very high ranking office in this country. Do you think they are probably over dramatizing this, or do they have a reason to protest?
Well, they have a reason, because when you look at the scenario here in Nigeria, yesterday, the South Governors Forum, they came out, they issued a communique, of which they even, according to them, they ordered the CJN not to appear at the CCT. And that was what happened today. They condemned it totally. They say that the trial is just political, and they are just, they also attempt to truncate the democracy. So the point is that when you look at Nigeria, because even the current president is being accused of nepotism due to his attitude. This time around, when you look at it, took almost 30 years for a Southerner to come into to be a CJN. Look at, and we are making this kind of a plan to remove him and bring a Northerner. Well, so this will also provoke some other people to fight, because when you don't fight, you have to fight for your own. Because when you look at it here in Nigeria, many people are more or less talking of, I belong to this party, I belong to this ethnic group, of which when you go to civilized countries like America, that is not the issue.
Let's talk about parties. The two opposing parties have come out to make different statements. PDP was first to say, we do not accept this. This is also probably a ploy to rig the elections, which is a song they have been singing for a very long time. And just a few minutes ago, the APC has brought out a statement in two parts. Now, I'm trying to understand the statement. One part of the statement from the APC says, we will not truncate the legal system, so let it take its course. And of course, saying if Justice Walter Onoren has committed a crime, let the court deal with him. And then they are accusing the PDP of once again over-dramatizing this situation, using it as an opportunity to, once again accuse the APC of trying to rig the elections. What do you think about what the two parties have said concerning this matter from a legal standpoint, or, of course, you being a lawyer? What do you think?
Well, it's usual that in electoral seasons like this, political parties throw political tantrums. Without regards to that, if the APC is saying that the law must follow its course, then the law is tried that when a judicial officer, prior to coming to the CCT, that there must be a referral to the National Judicial Council. So if indeed that is the mindset of the APC, then I don't think they'll have any problem with the jurisdictional objection that the defense counsel was making in this case, in the sense that the matter, first of all, the accused person has not been properly served, and second of all, assuming but not conceding that he was properly served, that the matter first had to be referred to the National Judicial Council as a condition precedent to the tribunal having jurisdiction over him.
What about you, Basil?
Yes, the point is that PDP is using it as a campaign strategy and even to the campaign tool. The national chairman of PDP yesterday at a campaign rally raised the issue, accusing the current administration of using this also to intimidate judiciary, because what it means is that once a judge, just like in a house, a father is killed, then the children and the wife will run away. Now any judge giving judgment, you have to be afraid, because in a situation whereby the first person in the authority is being subjected to this kind of caricature, as to say, then you'll be afraid. And that is what we are saying. Look at the issue, because you raised it. The current now, some civil group now went to Federal High Court while the case was going on at the CCT. They went there, they brought an ex parte application to stop that trial.
And we're just coming about that. We're just coming to that in a moment. All right, you're still watching Milord right here on RootsTV Nigeria. You stay with us. All right, rounding up this show, what just happened a few hours ago is that the Federal High Court has issued an order. Now, this to maintain the status quo, right? Now, we need to understand exactly what this order is and what it means for this entire process. Let's start with you. Who is the legal counsel right here with us? What the Federal High Court did, how does it affect entirely this hearing? Well,
essentially, the Federal High Court issued an ex parte order restraining the CCT from continuing with this process pending the substantive determination of the action in the Federal High Court. Ex parte orders usually have a very short lifespan, usually 7 days. And I believe there's a return date of, I think it's the
17th of January. Both parties are supposed to come together.
At that time now, the Federal High Court will make a determination that will now decide whether or not the next adjourned date at the CCT
which is January 22nd, that's Tuesday, next week Tuesday.
Yes, whether that will hold or not. So there's an ex parte order now that restrains the CCT from hearing this matter.
So how do you think that's going to play out? I mean, I'm not asking you. I am asking you what you think will happen on January 17th. What do you think? Well, I mean, give us an educated guess. You've been through this process.
Okay, well, without really preempting the courts and trying to comment on matters that are sub judice, I think what the court will now hear, an ex parte basically is an order that is made on the application of the plaintiff or the petitioner only. Now, but when the case comes back to court now, the court will, under the legal doctrine of ode alteram partem, the other party will have an opportunity to be heard and be addressed on the issue. And at that point, the judicial officer will make a ruling as to whether or not they now enjoin the CCT from hearing this matter, or whether the proceedings will continue as planned.
In just 1 minute, Basil, what do you think?
Yes, the point is that when you look at the hierarchy of court, the Federal High Court is higher than the CCT. So whatever decision the Federal High Court makes will abide to the CCT. So the point is that in that day, this, January 17, the parties will argue their case. It depends on who attract the judge's decision. Once the judge makes a pronouncement, it will be binding on the CCT.
And there is no doubt the three of us are going to be meeting at the Federal High Court on January 17th for this matter, because nobody is going anywhere. This is probably the biggest story in this country at this moment, because how this plays out will also determine what will happen to us during the elections. That is February 16th for the starters. You've been watching Milord. A big thank you to you, Barrister Chike Amobi, for taking out time to talk to us. And of course, my colleague Basil Okafor. I know you had to stop a whole lot of things to come here. We are grateful for that.
Yes.
You stay here on RootsTV. Milord, my name is Gloria Oje, and you can be sure we are going to follow this story and bring you all of the information.